He's just one of 3 children from Gaza, allowed into Britain for medical care in 22 months of conflict. All of them privately funded. With the humanitarian catastrophe in Palestine worsening, the government has until tomorrow to respond to a legal challenge over its decision not to evacuate critically ill children.
The reasons that the government has been relying on for not medically evacuating so far is that they've been supporting treatment options in Gaza and the region, and also that under the immigration rules, people can apply to privately access medical treatment in the UK. Now, the reality is that those options are simply inadequate.
In a statement, the Foreign Office said, "We're taking forward plans to evacuate more children from Gaza who require urgent medical care, including bringing them to the UK for specialist treatment where that is the best option for their care. We're working to do that as quickly as possible." This pledge comes amid reports by the Sunday Times that up to 300 could be arriving here for desperately needed NHS treatment. Dr. Wasim Saeed has been operating on children in Gaza and seen their suffering firsthand. Back in the UK, he receives regular updates, many of them harrowing, including this last night.
On a blood-spattered floor, there are 3 or 4 children. They have major burns. They are screaming in agony.
Although he welcomes medical evacuations, he says the government's priority should be getting medical care to children on the ground in Gaza.
There are thousands of injured children and adults. Every day, more patients coming in with severe life-threatening, limb-threatening, sight-threatening conditions who are suffering immeasurably, and that will only stop when the fighting stops and the killing stops, the maiming stops, and that is the urgent need that needs to be addressed. And whilst any doctor will welcome the evacuation of a few lucky children, this is a mere drop in the ocean compared to what really needs to be done.
Hey everybody, what's up? Total Control 871. Welcome back to BitChute. Welcome back to Rumble. Welcome back to Free Speech. The free speech, it is indeed soon to fall asunder. I caught an episode of The Quartering, and there are some other episodes of Tim Pool, basically KOSA. I believe it's called KOSA here in America. Something about, Kids Online Safety Act. There you go. Basically, it is everything I predicted. The government wants to force everybody to upload their identification. Of course, I will not be doing that. I can only assume Rumble. I'm sure they put up a good fight. Rumble and BitChute. I do think that they will bend the knee. I'm sure it's just a matter of time until I go to log into my accounts. And a big old, to proceed further, action required, whatever it is you want to call it, that's what's going to be awaiting myself and many others. And that's what it's designed to do, to throttle free speech. Free speech that exposes the horrors of Gaza. God bless Dr. Saeed here, doing God's work, helping all children, not just simply Palestinians, but all these underprivileged children. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to give the same level of care to any Israeli children who are injured. But let's face it, the Israelis, they're not being slaughtered, they're not being genocided. If I'm not mistaken, I believe early in, the whole conflict, I think in the weeks immediately following after October 7th, okay, the October 7th attack, Lester Holt, who is still helming NBC Nightly News, they flew him over there to go and talk to, the IDF and everybody else, and they show the starkly empty, evacuated, Israel evacuated, everybody's underground. They're showing these hospitals that are just starkly empty and evacuated. And I'm like, okay, but the hospital still stands. You're putting on theater. Meanwhile, over in Gaza, they're being leveled to the ground, you know. And if I may say, because like I said, I haven't really addressed the whole Israel-Palestine issue, not really. So I guess this is what this episode is going to be, my address of the whole war, the genocide. And I do believe it is a genocide. The whole thing, leave it to Israel, and they'll think they would have you think that the whole thing started on October 7th of 23, 2 years ago, and simply did not. You know what, because like I said, I've been meaning to do this episode for a while, ever since the whole thing jumped off 2 years ago. And one of the things, it's somewhere in my gallery, but I'm not going to go to it. I don't even feel like digging it up. I don't want the video to get too long. I was going to do like a quick snippet from The Bionic Woman, believe it or not, because you guys, you know how I love my cinematic analogies and things. And there are actually 2 episodes. I know, leave it to me with my sci-fi trivia. There are 2 episodes in The Bionic Woman. One was, I forget the names of the episodes, but Jamie, she's doing a dune buggy race over in the Middle East, and Oscar Goldman. Oscar Goldman had to go over to this Arab land to give Jamie her marching orders, and Jamie's like, well, why? Because Oscar was traveling under a pseudonym, and Jamie asked them, because it's so fun. When we were kids watching this stuff just zipped right over our heads. We were completely ignorant to it, you know, but maybe even probably went over a few adults' heads too. But Oscar's reply in that was that, well, a name like Goldman might not go over too well here. And then there was another episode where Jamie goes undercover as a tutor, a private tutor to an Arab prince, you know, and she gets discovered. Her identity gets burned, and the Arab king. No! It was the Arab king's. What do you call it? What do they call them when their right hand man or what have you? Jamie says to him, "Oh, if you just please contact my government, contact Oscar." She starts to say Goldman. And she catches herself and she says, "Just Oscar of the OSI." and the and the guy that she's talking to, the Arab guy she's talking to, he says to her, "We're not interested in having any conversations with anybody named Goldman." So he already knew who her boss was. But I say all that to drive home the fact that this bloodthirsty feud between Arabs and Jews has been going on forever. That's just going back some 40-some years, okay? That's back to the 70s and whatnot, or 50-some years or what have you. This thing has been going on forever and ever and ever, okay? You know, I think there was, his name, it does escape me, but it was a U.S. military man that was stationed over there. He self-immolated. The video was very, very harrowing. What I found very surreal about the whole thing was that he wasn't, crazed or manic. To put it like that, manic. You can always question his mental stability if he's about to set himself on fire. Not only is it suicide, but it's an extremely painful way of suicide. And he sets up his tripod, his little camera there, and he live streams his self-immolation, his suicide right there. And if you don't mind, I really got to give him a little bit of credit as far as this goes. I'll give him this credit, and then I'm going to hit him with some hard criticism. He douses himself with the gasoline, lights himself on fire, screams "Free Palestine," or I don't know if it was Free Palestine, but it was some sort of a pro-Palestine declaration. And then he stops, And you fit, because I know what's happening to them. I know what happens during when persons are set on fire. The reason why you might not necessarily hear them scream, it's because they can't. The air around their body has become superheated, and when you go to inhale to speak, it's literally like breathing in a blowtorch. You know, like those chef blowtorches when they toast the creme brulee, and it's basically putting that right inside your mouth, not in front of it, but inside your mouth and sucking in. That's why you don't necessarily hear people scream that far after self-immolation, unless they have been doused out. Somebody gets to them in time, puts them out where they can then begin to breathe. Because you're basically breathing fire. But I gotta give it to him, because when he stopped his Palestinian chant, I thought that was it. That's the last we're going to hear from him. But he didn't. He somehow within himself got out one more free Palestine or whatever it was. So you went through the pain and agony to suck in one more breath, which also goes to let you know that I don't think this person regretted doing what they did immediately after having done it. Wow. That says a lot. That says a lot. But now the harsh criticism that I have for the young man, I am very sorry that he did that to himself. It was very foolish and very illogical. I will say it again. Jews and Arabs have been at each other's throats for thousands of years. And I mean thousands. Okay? I truly do believe that no government can fix this thing. I think this is why it is spoken of in the Christian Bible as being part of the end of the world. Why Israel is I know, I could so go awful. Of all the horrible factions on the face of the earth, and there are a lot. You got your Houthis, although how many Al-Qaedas are there now? There's Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Special K, or there are so many of them. They got variants. Special K. They got variants of their groups now, and the Houthis and the of all these, and believe me, they are horrible. And yes, I'm not going to sit here and put a halo over the Arabs' heads. Arabs can do some diabolical damage. Yes, they can, okay? But you really got to marvel at it, assuming you are a Christian and believe in the Christian Bible. But of all these horrible groups, it's only Israel that is implicated in the end of the world, in the apocalypse, as being complicit with the Antichrist to bring about the apocalypse. Just saying. I'm just saying. Of all the horrible groups on the face of the earth, and there are a lot of them, strange how it's really only Israel that is spoken of as being complicit with the Antichrist. I don't know. Maybe there will be other groups that are complicit with the Antichrist, And who's to say? Who's to say who the Antichrist will actually be? Because frankly, I got a strange feeling that when the Antichrist is actually revealed, I think everybody's jaws are going to hit the ground. Because you guys know I'm very, very critical of Israel and of the Jew oligarchy and all the power that they have. I'm very critical of it. But like that floating pyramid peak, look at me doing Illuminati signs. Like that floating pyramid peak on the back of the dollar bill, I've tried to put that Star of David on top of that pyramid, and I'll put it up there, and I'll just kind of, how like a decorator will just kind of stand back to see how it looks, And don't ask me why, but for some strange reason, I don't think the Jews are at the true tippy top of this diabolical cabal. Whoever it is, because I know they have, what is it? Dollar Vigilante says Khazarians. I don't know, whatever it is that he says that Jews, that these people aren't even really Jews. And I forgot who was it that said, was it Dollar Vigilante? But I know somebody had said that in New York, where they're in the Hasidic Jew neighborhood, you will not find an Israeli flag anywhere. From what it's being reported, those Jews, they fucking hate Israel. And they want nothing to do with it. And they don't like Zionism, They don't want nothing to do with that. I don't really know, Anyway, so like I say, I think when it's all revealed as to who the Antichrist actually is, I think everybody's going to be shocked beyond belief. It may or may not be a Jew. If I was a gambling man, I'm going to say no, that it's not a Jew. It might sound strange coming from me, but for some strange reason, I don't think it is a Jew. I think that I think Israel is in league. They forge a pact with the Antichrist, but I don't think the Antichrist himself will be a Jew. So Dr. Saeed here, God bless him, he basically said it. You cannot trickle out. I mean, good Lord, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, are on the verge of starving to death, of perishing from famine, hunger, war, disease, everything spoken of in the Christian apocalypse. And look who's behind it. The Jews, but they don't want to be seen as the bad guy. I will say this as far as, because they like to claim, they cry Hamas. Everything's Hamas, okay? The irony is that your torture of these people, these Palestinians, your torture is so bad that, and you know what? I think the Jews do understand this. They're very brilliant people. They truly are. I don't think I need to tell them anything. If anything, they could probably tell me a few things. They're very brilliant people, excellent tacticians. I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what the counterpunch is going to be. Their think tanks are absolutely legendary, okay? They fully understand that by putting this kind of famine, that people will, in their desperation, yes, they will turn to a terrorist organization like Hamas. If that's all they've got, if Hamas is all Palestine has for a semblance of an armed militia, an army, for lack of a better word, if that's all they've got, then that's all they've got. How come Israel doesn't treat its neighbor in a way where the Palestinians don't feel like they have to join forces with a terrorist cell? Okay, because, come on, people, let's be real here. For all you, be it left wing, right wing, come on. Your child, come on, let's take another look. If your child was splayed out on the floor like that, dead or dying, yes, you will join forces with whatever it is to save them. If you say otherwise, I'll tell you to your face, you're a fucking liar. You will do it to save your children. You will do it. Okay? Don't sit here and tell me that you won't. So, maybe Palestine will be more willing to divest from their protector, Hamas, their would-be protector. And I get it, Hamas, and that's why I say I would love to donate. Guess what? I don't donate. I don't donate to any of those international funds because it is true. I will give Israel that. They're right. But it's not just simply Hamas that will seize the food. Israel will seize it as well. They're every bit as guilty. Yes, they are. They will run interception. Hamas runs interception. Starvation and desperation only get that much worse. So don't sit there and tell me that you won't join forces with whatever it takes to get your child the help that they need. Okay? Now, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm at 20 minutes here. Believe it or not, in the wake of the whole KOSA, Kid Online Safety Act, I'm actually going to make a concerted effort to put up one video a day. If it has to just simply, because I was really trying to increase my production value, but a lot of that, it takes a lot of memory, a lot of research and data. You know what? I'm just going to be going on the fly. It's going to be going on the fly. As a matter of fact, if you want, you can consider this and every episode thereafter a lateral censor log. Oh yes. Here, let's take a look at my forbidden comment, shall we? Let us open up our comments. Okay, and there we go. Where I say, the USS Mercy, because we heard what Dr. Saeed said, that the slow trickle of children coming out of Gaza, that's fine. We're happy to get them. But we need real response there. Boots on the ground, helping these children. And before I even heard him say that, while I was watching the beginning of this video, this reply came into my mind. So it's not like Dr. Saeed, gave me a Christopher Nolan Inception. I had already thought of this. Let's take a read. Where I say the USS Mercy and Comfort, those ships that they dragged out for parading for the fake pandemic. They literally threw these medical ships a ticker tape parade. Who does this? During what you're calling a lethal pandemic, who throws ticker tape parades in the middle of and then you think that I'm a conspiracy nut job for refusing to believe in what you call a pandemic. Okay, but I'm not going to get off into the whole COVID thing. Stay on topic here. My God. A ticker tape parade. And the nurses and doctors and cops, they're out there clanking pans together, blowing whistles, turning on the overhead sirens. Woo! Woo! They're literally patting themselves and each other on the back. Ooh, we did such a great job in response for the pandemic. Ooh, a pandemic that's so deadly that you have obviously ample time to arrange this ridiculous display. Okay, I'm going to get on to my topic here. To which I say the USS Mercy and Comfort should be dispatched immediately with an aircraft carrier escort. Got that right, goddammit. I want to see the Houthis and Israel. Let's see them try shoot. But then I go on to say it. I say Trump needs to throw down the gauntlet and dare Israel to fire on U.S. medical responders. Excuse me. Dare them to fire on U.S. medical aid. If they fire one bullet, then they need to cut off Israel's taxpayer-funded money immediately. America shouldn't be funding genocide anyway. Would you care to know what happened to this comment that still reads 1 second old? I'm sure you probably already know. Yep! 404. No! Oh, no. Oh no, we can't have you saying that. Cut off Israel's money? Are you crazy? There you go. And then Israel, what was it? I think Was it Greenblatt, Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL? Guy puts out a tweet, I think last week or a week and a half ago. He says, half the world, after they did their data research or whatever, half the world hates us. That he put that out in a tweet. And I think Jake Shields, he replied with a snarky comment saying, wow, for no reason at all, huh? Frankly, I think Jonathan Greenblatt's statement is not complete. He should be saying, half the world hates us again. Okay? Remember how I started this video? Talking about how back to the 70s and beyond. Okay? The 70s and beyond. You can go back to not only World War II, and by the way, I will say this about World War II and Hitler. Okay? Because I think they say, what is it? They got like a little thing that's like, and if anything that Hitler liked, oh, Hitler liked to eat soup. Oh my God, if you eat soup, you're Nazi. No soup, Nazi. No soup for you. And of course, Hitler, he was an accomplished artist, painting. But if you were to admire art, whether it's his or somebody else's, you're a Nazi. And in that vein of thinking, in that category of thinking, I truly believe that I think Hitler's diagnostics were correct. I think Hitler understood what the problem was. That the Jewish usury, that, like I say, it's not just simply World War II. It's been for thousands of years, back to the Spanish Inquisition, back to the days of Moses. Jews, they travel the world. Okay, remember now, they left their homeland. They wanted to be venture capitalists. They leave their homeland, travel wherever they go. They drop anchor. It always starts out good for the first couple of generations. The first 3 or 4 generations, everything is good. But then they start fucking with the culture. Terraforming the culture. Okay? And before you know it, they have now toxified the people against them. And of course, they're always going to cry, anti-Semitism, nobody likes me. Everywhere you go, over the course of thousands of years, this thing has followed you. Now, I'm sorry, that's pretty fucking impressive. All right? Now, I'm sorry. Like my grandmama used to say, Lord rest her soul, if everywhere you go you smell shit, then check your own shoes. All right? Everywhere Jews went, everywhere they traveled, they drop anchor. It starts out good. And it is true. Like I say, I don't maliciously vilify Jews. I've often said it many, many times. It is such a pity that Jews refuse to use their powers for good. They only use it for their own self-destructive ends. That suits their need. And yes, that includes their philanthropy. The philanthropy is nothing more than camouflage for their true maniacal nature. Okay? When people, like I say, philanthropy, the usury, philanthropy does what? Philanthropy, the poor, the needy. Why are people poor? Why are people needy? You see what I'm saying? So it could be argued that a lot of these Jews throughout history, they end up creating the very blight. They end up creating the very blight that they end up having to create philanthropies and NGOs and nonprofits to address. And of course, it's just one big irony that these NGOs and nonprofits, they end up becoming big, fat, juicy paychecks for them. So they profit in the social engineering of the societal blight, And they profit with the response to the social engineering of the societal blight. Okay? So everywhere they go, they become a problem. Okay? Hitler saw this. Hitler understood this. Okay? Unfortunately, and there are endless documentaries and God only knows. And yes, it's true, there's a lot of right-wing neo-Nazi historical revisionists. It's true. You got a lot of Nazis out there that are desperate to rewrite the truth, along with Jews. Jews want to rewrite the truth. Okay? But Hitler may have correctly assessed, what the problem is. He just simply way overshot the mark when it comes to how to address it. Okay? Genocide is never the fucking answer. Ever. Under any circumstance. Genocide is never the answer. Okay? This kind of shit, this poor little boy, it's never the answer. Alright? This stuff is never the answer. This is what they would have you believe is not starving, because we're hearing that come out of Gaza. The Israel's what they're saying about Gaza. Nobody's actually starving over there. They would have you believe that this is a pre-existing condition. Oh, really? This is pre-existing. Okay. But this is what I'm talking about, okay? Everywhere they go, they cause blight. They socially engineer the blight, and they socially engineer the response to it. Hitler understood this. He just simply way overshot. Genocide is never the answer. This is never, ever the answer, okay? And that's where Hitler just simply went way off the rails and went wrong, okay? Like I said, I got my criticisms of, of Israel, of the Jew oligarchy, but genocide is never the answer. I want to close now. I'm a half hour here. I'm starting to sweat. I got myself all upset. I'm starting to sweat. Had to cut the fan off in order to make so that the ambient noise. Anyway, but yes, let's take one more look at our taboo comment here. Yes, and I do. I do think that they need to dispatch, if not the mercy and the comfort, then some form of medical craft needs to be dispatched immediately. And it needs to enter into Gaza, okay? And honestly, there's no excuse. What the fuck is Israel going to say? Don't go in there. Don't help them. Are you trying to say if they don't need help? Okay. Remember who the fuck writes your check, all right? With all your fucking charity checks from taxpayers. Okay, so you sit up there. If you of all people have absolutely nothing to stand on for running a blockade for medical aid, for famine relief, medical aid and famine relief, and no fucknuts. The U.S. will not be standing by while your bullshit Israeli gives a search. Oh, we gotta make sure you're not bringing in weapons, bitch. Please. It's the motherfucking USA. Send an aircraft carrier escort. Okay? You want to send up your little planes and shit? We got some fucking planes that'll take care of your shit. Start airdropping food. Saturate the land. Make it so much food that there is no black market anymore. That's what needs to happen, okay? So much food and water that you saturate any possibility of a black market by either Israel or Hamas. Okay? All right. There is an answer to this. America can answer this shit, but they won't because they're so goddamn in love with their precious Jews. I'm sorry, you can't sit there and ride that victim card forever. The Holocaust. Back of the line, Shylock. Back of the line. We've all gone through some horrible shit in life. Every race on the face of the earth has gone through shit and has done shit. Okay? In case you haven't figured it out, planet Earth, it is a world of bigots killing other bigots. Earth, populated by bigots attacking other bigots. So back of the line. Let's go, Shylock. I don't want to hear your sob story. Boo-hoo. Okay, we've all been done dirty in life. You cut your losses and you learn to move on. All right, before I end, I want to play. I'm going to play us out. Matter of fact, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to let Tucker Carlson and Colonel Aguilera take us out. Colonel Aguilera had a very harrowing account of his experience over in Gaza, watching children rummage through the dirt on the ground, through the rubble, through the filth on the ground, for the kind of pasta that we probably throw out if it's a couple of years old. If we haven't used the pasta in 2 or 3 years, we toss it out. God forgive us. They would love to have it. And like I said, I'd love to donate, whether it's money or food or what have you. But who are we kidding? They're going to run a blockade. And of course, America very much indeed has the ability to do an end run around that blockade. You bring an aircraft carrier into port, and trust me, there will be no blockade. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to let Tucker Carlson and Colonel Aguilera take us out. Total Control 871.
So let me ask you about the story that you have told that's a really difficult story, awful story, but about the boy who you were in contact with who was killed, shot to death. What happened?
So, this little boy is similar in age to my son. Brown eyes. My son has brown eyes. I see my son's face when I look at him. And this little boy, he's not ISIS. He's not a combatant. This was on secure distribution site number 2, the 28th of May, our second day of doing distribution. I'm on that location. I didn't get this secondhand. I didn't see it from afar and then assume I saw it. I touched it. I felt it. Other people saw it. This young little boy, his name is Amir. I know that because when he walked over from the crowd of people, he walked toward me. There was two of us standing there, 2 UG Solutions guards standing in that area, and he was walking towards us, and we thought maybe he was hurt or maybe he was asking for some more food because all he had in his arms was a small bag of rice, half a bag of flour, some lentils that he had picked up from the ground. He didn't have much. And we thought maybe he was asking for more food or maybe he was hurt, and we notioned him over, and he came up and he extends his right hand at us. And so I kind of walked up to him and waved him over. And the guy standing next to me, this young boy, holds his hand and he kisses it. And then he comes to me and he holds my hand and he kisses it. In Arab culture, that is a very significant sign of respect. That's not something that should be taken lightly or something that should be, that's a big sign of respect. And we were taken aback by that. The gentleman that was standing next to me was also a military veteran, combat veteran. So he's been to Afghanistan, Iraq, and he was moved by it. He was touched. I was touched. And as he was standing there, we were both looking at him, and he was very emaciated. He had no shoes on. His pants were tattered. He had a kind of a rope or string holding his pants up. Filthy. Probably hasn't bathed in months. Probably hasn't eaten in days. And oh, by the way, when they walk 8 to 12 kilometers to get to these sites, The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation mechanism provides no water. Zero. Not a single bottle. Because it's too expensive. Distributing water weighs so much that it breaks down the profit per cost per truck. That's a fact. Because I asked why, and I was given a lesson in it. This is why. It's too expensive. So we give them no water. All of their food, by the way, requires water to cook it. Rice, lentils, beans, flour. You gotta have water. So what we're giving them, I don't know how they're eating it, but he's standing there, and I put my arm on his left shoulder, and I look at him, and I can feel the bones in his shoulder. I can feel the weakness in his arm. I can feel the vulnerability. I can feel the desperation. And I look at him, and I got down on my knees, or I'm looking at him in the eyes, and then I say to him, I said, people care. America cares. You're not going to be forgotten. People in the world care. And he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak Arabic. But the connection we had in looking at each other, he felt for the first time in a long time that there was someone that cared. And I got down on a knee, and he came and to his level, and the items he had in his hand, he sets them down on the ground. And he raises his hands, and they're small, fragile. You can see bones sticking, just the bones through the skin. And he places his hands on my face, and he kissed me. And he looked at me in the eyes, and he says, thank you. He said it in English. Thank you. Like, people are starving in Gaza.